Today, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to conduct a forensic deconstruction of a professional system, one that's specifically designed to take your best intentions and turn them into someone else's profit. We are going to dismantle the anatomy of the fake charity scam.
Now that line right there, that isn't just a clever saying. It really gets to the core paradox of this whole thing. It exposes a system that literally weaponizes your desire to do good, turning what should be an act of altruism into calculated, cold-blooded theft. So, to take this system apart, we need a game plan. We'll start with the altruistic ambush. Then we'll dissect the anatomy of the scam. After that, we'll explore the psychological short circuit that makes it all work before building your institutional defense. And finally, we're going to arm you with the protective mantra. Think of it as a cognitive firewall against this type of fraud.
Okay, Section 1, the altruistic ambush. Here's the central idea, and it's a chilling one. Your highest virtue, your compassion, is their master key. You see, professional scammers don't target greed or ignorance. They target your empathy, and they have systematically engineered a process to exploit it. How do they do it?
Well, they induce a state called altruistic blindness. This is where that powerful desire to help just emotionally overrides your brain's natural skepticism. And listen, this isn't about being naive. It's about a very targeted manipulation that flips a switch in your brain. They create an emotional crisis that feels so urgent that just stopping to think feels like you're doing something wrong, making you an active participant in your own robbery.
All right, Section 2, the anatomy of the scam. Let's deconstruct what I call the empathy extraction machine. I want to be clear, this isn't random. It's a repeatable professional playbook. And we're going to take this machine apart piece by piece so you can see exactly how it works, from the second they target your neighborhood to the moment they walk away with your cash. You see, this machine runs in 6 very deliberate stages, all the way from targeting the right kinds of neighborhoods to the final extraction. Look at the sequence here. The pretext to get you to lower your guard, the emotional hook, then the social proof trap that uses peer pressure, and finally the moral deadline to create this false sense of urgency. This isn't just someone asking for money. It's a carefully sequenced psychological operation.
Now, of all those steps, the hook, that's where the real manipulation kicks in. This is the crucial moment. This is when the solicitor shifts from some generic plea to something deeply personal, aiming right for the empathy centers in your brain. It's the moment they show you a photo, and you mentally accept that you have a moral duty to help.
They're exploiting a powerful psychological trigger called the identifiable victim effect. Basically, our brains are hardwired to feel way more for a single vivid face than for some abstract statistic about millions of people. And these scammers, they come prepared. They have pitch books, these binders full of high-resolution, often stolen photos. When they show you that picture, they are intentionally triggering a biological response that makes saying no feel, well, almost physically painful.
And once you're emotionally hooked on that victim, they pivot. This right here, this is the psychological choke point. Now they start to apply social and moral pressure to cement this belief in your head that if you don't give them $50 right now, you're a bad person. And you forget, of course, that they're the one who showed up at your front door and invited.
Here's exactly how that social proof trap works. The scammer pulls out a clipboard and says something like, your neighbors have already given, while pointing to a list of names. This taps into our deep-seated desire to conform. And all of a sudden, you're not just deciding whether to donate, you're deciding if you're as good and as generous as everyone else on your street. It's an incredibly effective form of coercion.
And here's where the manipulation really flips. They start using tactics of concealment. They create this false urgency. The truck leaves tomorrow, and they'll claim they can't take a check or give you a website. They need cash, and they need it now. They might even create a little privacy window by asking you to keep it between you and them so the neighbors don't feel pressured. They weaponize your own decency to isolate you and cover their tracks. So that brings us to Section 3, the psychological short circuit. Why does this work so well, even on really smart people? I mean, we've seen the how, so now let's dig into the why. It really comes down to a few powerful cognitive biases that these scams are precision engineered to exploit.
It all starts with your brain's 2 operating systems. Think of it like this. System 1 is your fast, intuitive, emotional, gut reaction thinking. System 2 is your slow, analytical, deliberate thinking. The entire scam is designed to trap you in System 1. The emotional story, the time pressure, it's all there to overwhelm your analytical brain. They don't want you to think, they want you to feel. Because if you feel, you'll give.
They also tap into something called moral self-signaling. That's just our internal drive to do things that confirm our own identity as a good person. So when a scammer gives you a chance to be a hero for 20 bucks, they're letting you reinforce that self-image. The money isn't just for a cause. In a way, it's you buying a clear conscience. You're signaling to yourself that you're a helper, and that powerful feeling is what the scammer is really selling.
And finally, they leverage the halo effect. This is our built-in bias to let one positive trait, like say appearing to be a humanitarian, create a halo of trustworthiness. They create this halo through what you could call visual theater. That simple vest, the clipboard, the ID badge, those aren't just accessories. They are psychological props, and they're designed to short-circuit your skepticism on sight.
Okay, we've deconstructed the threat. Now for the most important part. Section 4, your institutional defense. How do you go from an emotional belief to a bulletproof verification? The solution isn't to become more cynical, it's to become more systematic.
Your single most powerful tool is something I call the EIN protocol. It's just 3 simple steps. 1. Pause. Just take a breath and switch on your analytical brain. 2. Politely ask for the charity's employer identification number, or EIN. Every single legitimate nonprofit has one. A scammer will not. 3. Verify that number on the official IRS database online. This one simple question is a perfect filter. A real fundraiser will give it to you no problem. A fraudster will make an excuse and leave.
You know, the scammer's own tactics are your best diagnostic tool. You can think of this checklist of red flags as their playbook in reverse. Are they pressuring you for an immediate on-the-spot donation? That's a red flag. Are they asking for cash only or for you to use a payment app? Red flag. No verifiable EIN. That's a huge red flag. Vague answers about where the money goes? No real website. These are all signals of a fraudulent operation. So, how do you actually end the interaction? You need a pre-planned script. Here is a safe, polite, and totally non-negotiable exit. Thank you for what you're doing. My policy is to only donate directly through a charity's website after I've verified them on Charity Navigator. You see what that does? It validates their supposed mission, it clearly states your unshakable policy, and it moves the decision to a safe time and place. It just ends the conversation.
And that brings us to our final section, the protective mantra. This is where we distill everything we've just learned into a core principle that will act as your cognitive firewall.
Let's put it all together. A fake charity scam is an empathy anchoring system. It uses moral coercion and a little bit of visual theater to bypass your rational mind. Just remember the core protective principle. Legitimate charity is always verifiable. If they won't let you research them, they aren't helping the needy. They are robbing the generous.
So if there's only one thing you take away from this whole explainer, make it this mantra. Make it your rule. I give through the system, not the script. No EIN, no website, no donation. This isn't about closing your heart, it's about opening your eyes. It's about making sure your generosity actually reaches the people who need it, not just the person standing at your door.